India has just amended a key part of its education policy, the part about failing students. Until now, students could not be failed in primary school, that's from classes 1 to 8. All students had to be automatically promoted from class 1 to 8. It was called the no-detention policy. But now the government has reversed it. The new policy allows schools to fail students in two classes, in classes 5 and 8. If you fail the annual exam, you are in the dock, you get 2 months to retake the test, and if you fail again, you will be held back in the same class. I know this policy change may sound confusing, so let's break it down into 4 parts. Number 1, will this change affect all Indian students? And the answer is no. It will only affect students in central schools like Kendriya Vidyalayas and Sainik schools. States are free to choose their own policy. For example, Tamil Nadu says that it will stick to no detention. It will not fail students. Now, point number 2. Why was no detention introduced in the first place? It was clubbed with the Right to Education Act of 2009. The then government said that every child must complete primary school, and detentions threatened that goal. Assume a child was failed in class 6 or class 7. Their parents may ask, what's the point of keeping them in school? Might as well train them in the family work. Or sometimes a child does not want the stigma of being failed or having to study with their juniors. So the child may say, I don't want to study anymore. To prevent all of this, the government said no more detentions. Every child will be passed until class 8. They will be promoted to the next class. And on paper, this did work. In 2008, around 5.7% children did not go to school. By 2022, this figure dropped to 2.3%. So school enrollment did rise because of this law. Now, question number 3. Why has the government reversed it? Because enrollment does not ensure quality. Around 6.5 million students failed classes 10 and 12 last year. So you're not preventing the detention, you're just delaying it. Let me show you a comparison data. In 2008, 56% of class 5 students could read textbooks from class 2. By 2022, that number had come down to 43%, meaning more than half of class 5 students could not read textbooks from class 2. Same with basic maths. In 2008, around 37% class 5 students could do division. By 2022, that number fell to 25%. Do you see the problem here? Yes, more students are staying in school until class 8, but are they learning? The academic quality has dropped. The government says this needs to be corrected. They have created new rules for detained students. The class teacher will guide them, the parents will be roped in, and specialized inputs will be given. The idea is to identify and correct the learning gaps then and there. Which brings us to the final question. Is this the right approach for India? Well, some educators have welcomed it. They say that it will encourage students to study well because if they don't, they will fail. And frankly, that does sound like good incentive to study. But there are critics as well. And we must listen to them too. They point to the same problems that existed in 2009, the problem of stigma, the problem of dropouts. Different countries have found different solutions for this. In the US, it's up to the states. Around 26 American states have policies to hold back students if they fail reading tests. They will be failed. It's common in the European Union too. Around 7% teens repeated at least 1 year in primary education. Around 10% did the same in lower secondary. They repeated a class. Western experts say this can be counterproductive. They say repeaters suffer long-term negative impacts. But remember, India's situation is different. We cannot copy-paste Western advice to Indian schools. We need a holistic approach that is tailored for India. Because unlike the West, our infrastructure is not adequate. We have other problems. Around 120,000 Indian schools, listen to this, 120,000 Indian schools have just one teacher. Imagine that, an entire school with just one teacher. In states like Bihar, there is just one teacher for 60 students in a class. Frankly, these things have a bigger bearing on a student's success, way more than holding them back. So we'll have to wait and see how this policy plays out. If it can improve academic quality, great, but if it comes at the cost of enrollment, we may want to reconsider it.